Good morning, everyone. It's Sunday, March 23rd. Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell is our guest this morning. Let's go on the record. Taking the White House to court, the executive order she is now challenging, and fears of a constitutional crisis. The AG is in the chair. It's time to go on the record.
From WCVB Channel 5, the inside word from Washington to Beacon Hill. Today's newsmakers are going on the record.
Welcome to OTR, everyone. I'm Ed Harding.
I'm Charmin Sacchetti, and with us at the table is Massachusetts Attorney General Andrea Campbell. She took office as the state's top law enforcement officer in January of 2023 and has been busy ever since. That's an understatement.
It's very busy.
Thanks so much for being here.
Oh, delighted to be here. Thank you for having me.
So let's dive in. A Democratic whip and the House whip, Catherine Clark, said last week that the courts were the first place to confront White House policy, even before Congress. Her three-step program was the courts. Is that the best strategy?
Right now, it is not only the best strategy, it is the AGs across the country, frankly, and sadly only Democratic AGs across the country that are on the front lines, pushing back on an administration that is just not only bent on continuing to do things unlawfully, but jeopardizing the health of our residents here in Massachusetts, our economy. Of course, folks are concerned if a recession is going to come. Affordability issues are still the number one issue affecting our residents. And right now we're finding that it really is the states picking up the slack to respond, but most importantly, to respond to a federal administration where we're seeing just continuous unlawful conduct. And the last I will stress is judges play a critical role, but you need lawyers to go into court to file something to then get a judge to respond.
So therefore the front line is within the states, right? That's where you find it, right?
And frankly, the Attorney General.
And you mentioned judges. Some judges now fear for their lives. Honestly, it's 2025. How did we get here?
I think we shouldn't be surprised, right? We saw, sadly, this president show up in Trump 1.0, not only talking about retribution, revenge, doing away with every law that you can think about to try to push an agenda. And now with Trump 2.0, it's even worse. There is a blatant disregard for our legal system, for the rule of law. And everyone should be concerned. Even those who supported this president should be concerned.
Democratic members of Congress are doing enough?
I think their tools are limited. Right now, the only way in which we can respond to unlawful action, whether it's cuts to NIH funding or cuts to jobs, federal jobs that our residents depend upon, or federal funding, we get close to over $20 billion comes to Massachusetts. Jobs, infrastructure, our roads, our bridges, childcare, education, educational services for our special needs students, you name it. AGs are the only ones in this moment in time that have the tools to fight back, to file lawsuits, and we are winning. And if we're doing that collectively, of course, there's tremendous power in that. And I'm proud to be a leader, not only of Massachusetts, but to lead in this work.
Didn't voters say in November that this is what they wanted?
Some did, not all.
Well, more than...
Absolutely. And I have always from day one respected the fact that this president was elected, and he was elected by people. And looking, frankly, for an opportunity to work with this federal administration to address affordability issues. But cuts to NIH funding, treatments for example, pediatric cancer, how is that advancing affordability here in Massachusetts?
Well, let's talk about some of those executive orders that he signed. Dozens of executive orders, as we know. Dismantling the Department of Education, ending birthright citizenship, stopping DEI initiatives, cutting NIH funding, as you mentioned. Last week, he called for the impeachment of a judge who ruled against him. Do you think we're in a constitutional crisis?
A constitutional crisis, it's not an on and off switch. It is a turning of a dial, and we are headed to a very dangerous place. If a president can, with a stroke of a pen, attempt to dismantle the Constitution, with the birthright case that we challenged, of course, birthright citizenship, they were attempting to not only rewrite the Constitution, but to do away with the 14th Amendment, 150 years of precedent. I don't care who you are in this country, even if you voted for this president, if you allow him to do that, he can then take away the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and any other amendment. And then there's no checks and balances in our system to hold this president accountable. You're suddenly moving towards not a democracy, but someone who is looking to be a king. And so AGs are on the front lines pushing back on this unlawful behavior to say we can still address affordability issues, but we can do it lawfully.
Dismantling the Department of Education, I know you already have filed suit against the administration. Are there any new steps you're taking now in the wake of this executive order where he's gone ahead and followed through with it?
even before signing the executive order, we filed a lawsuit against the administration fighting to not only protect the Department of Education, but all of the funding that we get here in Massachusetts. We get close to $2 billion from the federal administration to our school districts, our K through 12 system, especially for our students with special needs and disabilities, through our higher ed institutions, which is one of the pillars of our economy here in Massachusetts. This is work study, this is Pell Grants. This jeopardizes the very our ability to deliver educational services. But I want to be crystal clear. This lawsuit that we filed it to get ahead of what we knew was coming. Yeah. So when I say we're prepared, this AG and our team are absolutely prepared to protect our students and our families and our economy. It has a ripple effect.
But as with USAID, if that were in fact likely unconstitutional, as we've read, are the courts too late in keeping up, I guess, is my question. He's taking steps to dismantle the Department of Education now. And so once this goes to the court, will it be too late?
The AGs and the courts are not late. If anything, the AGs, the Democratic AGs, we are coordinated. Massachusetts is leading that work on a whole host of fronts. And in the context of the Department of Education, we went into court before he signed this order saying, based on what the secretary did in firing folks, closing the Office of Civil Rights here in Boston, that's unlawful. He does not have the power to dismantle an entire agency that was created by Congress. Only Congress has that power. So we talk about a constitutional crisis. What we're saying is, you have power, President, yes, but stay within your lane. Congress has power. The courts have power. And if we allow someone to keep inching away at these checks and balances, we will no longer have a democratic system. And the last I checked, every resident, even in Massachusetts, you want accountability. If an elected official does something wrong, takes away funding for your kid, takes away the clinical trial for pediatric cancer or PTSD, you want someone to hold them accountable. And right now, attorneys general across the country, including my office, are the only ones that have the tools to hold this administration accountable. And let's be clear, I would rather work with the president to address the high cost of utility bills and housing, but sadly, that's not what we're getting from this administration.
Next item, ICE. ICE has been active in Massachusetts. ICE has been active in Massachusetts in recent days. A number of people detained in Chelsea, some claiming to have updated documents, but taken into custody anyway. So what is the AG's role in this?
One, to push back on this narrative and suggestion that every immigrant in this state is somehow perpetuating crime. That is ridiculous, and it's misinformation. Our immigrants are hardworking. In the healthcare system, the higher ed institutions that we all depend on, so many systems, these are workers. If, for example, we were to deport all the Haitians, for example, in Massachusetts, which may be their efforts at some point, our healthcare system, particularly our elder care system, would be dismantled and undermined significantly here in Massachusetts. And what we're seeing is not an administration targeting those who are perpetuating crime, which is what our office does. If folks commit crime, regardless of your status, we hold you accountable. And if that means deporting you because you don't have the proper paperwork, that's what we do. We hold folks accountable. At the same time, we don't pull in innocent folks into that. And what we're seeing is folks who are in the process of, for example, applying for asylum, or folks who are here lawfully with a work visa, working. Someone in Chelsea was working for 6 years, no criminal record whatsoever, rounded up. And so this administration continues to do unlawful behavior with the hopes of creating fear in the communities that we're here to protect.
Is there communication with ICE in your office? I mean, do you?
We have open lines of communication with the coordinator here, but I will tell you, it's still disheartening because they have significant discretion, and they should use it to actually keep us safe by going after folks who are perpetuating crime, which is what our office does, not rounding up innocent folks or targeting those folks who are here working or, for example, applying for asylum.
When Tom Homan said he'd bring hell to Boston.
And I just say, bring it on. And why I say that, it's not only because I know I'm the first Black woman to serve in this role, and I never take that for granted that people put me here, but I know my historical context. I know people who died, women, people of color, and did it in collaboration, collective fight to push against oppression, to allow me to sit here to do this very interview, for us to sit together in this studio without someone putting you in jail, for us having a conversation. So I rely on that history. I rely on the staff in my office that work extremely hard to serve the public and to really deliver in this moment in time. If not now, then when? This is the time to exercise courage to really protect our people.
Andrea Campbell is with us. We're on the record. Stay with us.